San Francisco stands as a monument to radical transformation, having changed more profoundly than almost any other city in the United States. Its history is a dramatic arc. It began as a remote, small Spanish outpost, exploded into a rough and lawless gold rush town, and then completely rebuilt itself after one of the most destructive earthquakes in American history. Fortunately, historical paintings, detailed maps, and fading early photographs give us a clearer picture of what the city looked like at each distinct stage of its evolution. In this video, we use advanced AI technology to bring those frozen moments back to life, allowing us to witness how San Francisco grew from open, wind-swept hillsides and scattered buildings into a major international port and a modern, thriving city. This detailed illustration shows Yerba Buena at the precise moment it shifted into American control. The date is July 9, 1846. In the dusty center of town, U.S. forces have raised the American flag, marking a key step in the takeover of California during the Mexican-American War. The scene depicted here feels remarkably quiet and small, featuring scattered houses, open hills, and only a few boats drifting on the bay. The organized military presence stands out sharply against this otherwise peaceful settlement. At this point, no one could have known that Yerba Buena, soon to be renamed San Francisco, would grow into one of the most important cities on the West Coast. This next view shows San Francisco when it was still a small settlement known as Yerba Buena. The town sits quietly along the bay with only a handful of buildings and wide open hills rising behind them. A few ships rest in the calm water, hinting at early trade, but looking nothing close to the busy port the city would become. Streets are simple dirt paths, and the landscape feels more like a rural outpost than a future metropolis. This scene captures the city right before everything changed. Only a year before, the gold rush brought a flood of people and rapid growth. Moving to a time of established wealth, this engraving shows the Bank of California, one of the first major financial institutions in the West. The building stands out with its heavy stone arches and detailed facade, a sign that San Francisco was becoming a city with real economic weight. Horse-drawn carriages and people moving along the street give a sense of a growing downtown. However, not all history here was peaceful. This illustration captures a tense moment in San Francisco's history. In 1880, members of the Working Men's Party gathered on the sandlots near the old City Hall to protest against Chinese immigrants. These rallies grew out of economic frustration, but they often turned into anger directed at the city's Chinese community, who faced discrimination and violence throughout this period. This painting shows San Francisco right as the gold rush was beginning. The town is small but buzzing with activity, with tents, simple houses, and busy paths leading toward the bay. Ships crowd the water carrying people from around the world who came hoping to strike it rich. The hills in the background remind us how young the city still was. With most of its growth happening in a matter of months, this view shows San Francisco right before the gold rush transformed it. The town is still small, but already taking shape with clusters of wooden buildings stretching toward the bay. A few ships anchor offshore, hinting at early trade and the city's connection to the wider world. People gather on the hillside in the foreground, looking out over a place that was beginning to feel like a real community. In just a few years, this quiet town would explode with new arrivals and rapid construction. This image captures the last moment before that wave of growth changed San Francisco forever. This panorama captures San Francisco only a few years after the gold rush began. And the change is dramatic. What had been a small settlement is now a crowded landscape of buildings, tents, and makeshift camps stretching toward the bay. Thousands of people poured into the city, and the rush for gold created a chaotic but energetic atmosphere. Ships filled the waterfront, many abandoned by crews who hurried inland. On the hillsides, newcomers set up temporary camps while the city tried to keep up with its sudden growth. This view shows a young San Francisco in the middle of a massive transformation. This photograph shows Portsmouth Square at a time when San Francisco was still figuring out what kind of city it would become. The streets are little more than packed dirt, and the buildings feel temporary, as if they were put up quickly to meet the demands of a fast-growing population. Small businesses line the square, offering supplies, lodging, and services to newcomers arriving from all over the world. The hills behind the square are dotted with scattered houses and footpaths, giving a sense of how new and unfinished the city was. Portsmouth Square soon became a central gathering place in early San Francisco. This photograph shows the port at one of its busiest moments in the early 1850s. Ships crowd every corner of the waterfront, many of them abandoned by crews who rushed inland to search for gold. The masts create a forest of lines against the water, showing how quickly San Francisco became a key hub for trade and travel. The city below the port is dense with new buildings, most of them put up in a hurry to handle the constant flow of people and supplies. This panoramic illustration shows San Francisco as a fully established city by the late 1870s. The street grid stretches far across the peninsula, filling in areas that had been open land only a few decades earlier. Neighborhoods are packed with houses, businesses, and churches, and the waterfront is lined with piers and ships of all kinds. The hills in the background are still mostly undeveloped, giving a sense of how quickly the city grew outward from the bay. This illustration shows the early days of the Presidio of San Francisco, established in 1776 by Juan Bautista de Anza and soldiers of the Spanish Empire. At this point, the area was mostly open land with rolling hills and a quiet bay in the distance. The scene shows Spanish troops arriving, building structures, and beginning to settle the region. This aerial view shows the scale of destruction after the 1906 earthquake and fire. Entire blocks of San Francisco were reduced to ash, leaving a grid of streets with almost nothing standing between them. The city's downtown skyline is still visible in the distance, but much of what surrounded it was gone. More than 4 square miles burned in the days after the quake, forcing thousands of people to flee or rebuild from scratch. This view shows San Francisco during the Panama Pacific International Exposition, a World's Fair held in 1915 to celebrate the opening of the Panama Canal and the city's recovery from the 1906 earthquake. The fairgrounds stretched along the waterfront and were filled with grand buildings, domes, and towers. The tallest structure in the center is the Tower of Jewels, which caught the sunlight with thousands of glass pieces. Alcatraz sits in the background, quiet and isolated in the bay. Thanks for watching. Looking back at these views of early San Francisco makes it easier to understand how fast the city has changed. From the first Spanish settlement to the chaos of the gold rush and the rebuilding after the 1906 earthquake, each era left its mark on the landscape. Seeing these scenes reconstructed helps us picture how people lived and how the city we know today came to be. The journey of San Francisco is one of resilience and constant reinvention, a cycle of destruction and rebirth that is unique in American history. From the quiet solitude of the Spanish era to the frantic energy of the gold rush, the city has always been a place of rapid evolution. The images we've explored today do more than just document the past. They reveal the human spirit that built this metropolis against all odds. Whether it was the sudden influx of fortune seekers in 1849 or the collective determination to rebuild after the fires of 1906, the story of San Francisco is written in its changing skyline. As we look at the modern city today, we can see the echoes of these past eras, reminding us that the ground beneath our feet holds layers of history waiting to be rediscovered. Thank you for joining us on this visual journey through time.